Howdy folks, Eric here, back with another standard brew. Today, we're taking that mono black Rottenmouth Viper list that I posted about a week ago or so, and giving it a little touch up. Splashing into white. This is what I would consider more of an upgraded version from that. White gives us a few sweet things, namely Novice Inspector plays really nicely with Rottenmouth Viper. It gives you immediate permanence to be able to sacrifice. Effectively very similar to like an Infestation Sage or the Callous Inspector, except you get your permanence up front, making it easier to get a faster Viper out. You also get an extra sacrifice outlet in Bartolome. This guy grows pretty big pretty quickly. We're also in white for Scout for Survivors. This is a card that, after doing some thinking and testing, I think you find yourself in a lot of situations where casting this helps you close out games in a way that perhaps like Tolls of War doesn't necessarily. Tolls of War is effectively kind of like an obsessive pursuit. It's like extra obsessive pursuit. If that's what you want, like you want a more grindy mid-range style of a sacrifice list, I think you go the Tolls of War direction. But I see Scout for Survivors as a way to, if my opponent's removing my stuff, or say I have like an Albed Salvagers on the field and a decent graveyard, I can use this to help like recoup some material and close out the game with this big like sacrifice play. I mean, just think of like the ceiling on this card. It's like if I have 3 1-drops in my graveyard, that's effectively 6 more permanents to sacrifice with an Albed Salvagers on the field and a sack outlet. Kind of goes crazy, right? Plus, Scout for Survivors puts 1/1 counters on your creatures. Kind of huge in like grindy matchups anyway, in comparison to Tolls of War. And it can return our Albed Salvagers as well in a pinch. Like if we just need the extra reach in that turn immediately, being able to pay 3 mana to recoup your Albed Salvagers and close out the game that way. I think there's a lot of flexibility in this card over, say, something like Raise the Past. That I'm really interested to see how it plays out, I suppose I'll say. We also get Abandoned Air Temple in white. This gives us a big payoff for playing all these 1-mana, dinky 1-mana creatures. Sometimes you just have hands where it's like, okay, I have a huge board, 1-mana creatures, I'm all dressed up, nowhere to go. This gives us a little extra push where we can actually close out games with a bunch of 1-drops, you know what I mean? And if we don't see a whole lot of other action. Sideboard's pretty straightforward. 4 Soul Guide Lantern. I don't know why the Scryfall formatting does this, but sometimes it shows them as 2 separate things. 4 Soul Guide Lantern. We don't want Rest in Peace, right? Because we need our graveyards a little bit, and Rest in Peace stops our death triggers. But this actually plays really nicely. It's another permanent to sacrifice. 3 Get Losts. Hits everything, basically, and sometimes you can kill your own creatures to make maps for extra permanence to sacrifice, extra reach. 4 Duress, 4 Intimidation Tactics, just to keep our curve low and help make sure that we can get under opposing decks before they're able to deploy their plan. That's about it. One other note about my mana base. You should play 4 Concealed Courtyards if you have them. I just don't have them on Arena, so that's why it's in the deck list like this. If you have 4 Concealed Courtyards, probably cut maybe a Swamp, a Multiversal Passage. You could just play them over the Multiversal Passages probably and be fine. Budget gamer. Let's hop into some matches. Alright, match number 1. On the draw here. Can't keep this hand. 1 lander. We're on 20 lands. Not the worst count. I like this hand. A lot of good action going on here. Deploy quite a lot of creatures. We have the Obsessive Pursuit. Let's hedge our bets a little bit. Let's put back the Inspector. Make sure we keep a little removal here. Before we don't really know what we're playing against, obviously. Let's go ahead and lead on this Infestation Sage. Not going to block, but it saves me from having to shock in right away. I've been losing a lot this morning, gang. I'll be honest. I will be honest. I've been testing a few different variants. I've tried a Mardu Viper list that just... it was like a weapons manufacturing, sort of Legion Extruder, like that sort of style. With Scout for Survivors and a bunch of 1-mana artifact creatures. And it had some really cool turns. But I just keep finding myself hating weapons manufacturing every time I get pulled back to brewing with it. I think there are some decks out there in Standard that kind of work, like the United Battlefront list that's hit the MTGO dumps occasionally. I think that one's pretty good. But outside of that, making like an aggressive build try to work with the Viper and with the weapons manufacturing, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just not for me. I think I'm gonna try to get my Obsessive Pursuit back here. Kill off this bat. Eat this Infestation Sage. I think that's okay. So I'm hoping that this list works today. My back is still pretty sore. I mentioned this in yesterday's video. I might just play 3 matches and then call it for the day. You know, depending on if they go well. If they don't go too well, I'll try to do a full 5 and maybe we can get at least like a 3-2 out of the deal. Another bat. Well, good thing we have this insect to block that bat. Albed Salvagers. Not a bad draw here. Go ahead and play that. I get to swing for 1. We're on 20 lands because I was like, yeah, maybe we could go down to like a meager 18, but I think we can afford to be on a little more because we have these clues, essentially. We have a lot of like cycling in our creatures, and we want to be able to afford sacrificing a clue and doing something else on our turn rather than making the clues feel like too clunky. But while 20 is quite light, you know, we still need to hit our land drops. Over say playing like 18 lands. We'll play another Salvagers and just pass here. I think that's pretty good. Just kind of in top deck mode. Maximize the drain from the Salvagers. Wouldn't mind drawing another Obsessive Pursuit here. We kind of let us start swinging in. They make a fish. Not really sure what our opponent's doing quite yet. Maybe it's just mono black demons. There's a Preacher. Okay. They could swing in with Cecil, I suppose. I'm not going to block it, but makes their life total a little fragile. Scout for Survivors would not be a great draw right now. Good thing to point out, I think. In your testing, just kind of stop and think about board states and like, you know, does Scout for Survivors make sense in this position? Not really. But we're getting kind of close to it making sense if we can chump with a Novice Inspector and what have you. Drain a couple life. I'm gonna set a control stop here to make it look like I maybe have something I could cast still, even though I just have a land. Stop and think for a second, and then pass it back to them. This might incentivize them to play another bat if they have one. Swinging in with a Preacher and a Cecil. Are they just dead to this swing? Like, they're gonna hurt themselves with... If I double block here and double block here, they're gonna take 2 from Cecil and then 8 from my death triggers here. I guess they could... Maybe it makes sense to do this. Kill off the Preacher. They could have removal here. Say they have like instant speed removal for the Salvagers. I want them to take damage off Cecil, basically. So maybe we do something like this. Maybe I just triple block everything. No. There's a line here, I think. I'm not going to play around removal. I'm just going to see if this works. Yeah, I'm going to see if this works. I don't really think it mattered how I blocked there as long as I blocked 2 and 2. I guess I could kill a Preacher if I blocked with the Salvagers over here, but Do you have removal? Okay, well then you're dead. Oh, you're not dead. Wait. They could assign 2 damage to the bug. I see, I see. Okay, so they'll go to 1. I see, I see. 1 is pretty dangerous for them, though. Yeah. So they can block with a vampire. They can start swinging with the bat. I guess we swing here. Block and sack with the fish. Gonna be close. Them being at 1 is pretty nice for us. But drawing 3 lanes in a row, not really where we want to be. Are they gonna double block? Give up the lifelinker? Could be okay. Drawing 3 lanes in a row, not really where we want to be. See what our opponent gets up to. Sacks the fish anyway. They can go back up to 3 here. We need to draw like Obsessive Pursuit, cycle the clue into Scout for Survivors maybe. There's Obsessive Pursuit. Play that. Cycle the clue here. Into another Obsessive Pursuit. I would even take that, to be honest with you. Izumi Line Breaker. Okay. Blocks the life linkers. Pass it back to you. I guess I'll play a land here. Looks like they're not casting bats anyway. There might be a need to, like, you know, anytime you have an extra draw in the future, usually better to just deploy your lands. You know, if I had something in the past couple turns, I would have used it. You know what I mean? I'm not really gaining too much of an advantage by concealing the 1 card in hand. They're probably not going to play a bat, even if they did have it. Probably holding up a removal here. Another land, not really where we want to be. Getting pretty flooded. There's a Viper. Well, we can just cast it. Yeah, just go for the Viper. Hold back blockers, I suppose. Yeah, shock myself. I think that's okay. Just fully cast this. Might just need to chump the Soulstone Sanctuary. Off to an interesting start this game 1. I'm not sure that we can pull it out. We're pretty flooded and they have a million cards in hand, which means they have options, but who knows? I think I'm going to board in Get Lost. I might board in the Intimidation Tactics. Oh, okay, this is Dimir. Anyone else have this on their bingo card? That this is actually just Dimir and they're stuck on blue? I didn't see that. Didn't see that coming. Interesting. Okay, so they could actually have a really useless hand right now, which could explain a lot. They could have kind of nothing going on. They're stuck on blue. Sacrifice the vampire, try to unlock blue mana. Interesting. I didn't see that coming. We've been in this game for quite a long time. Both having mana problems kind of in our own ways. Yeah, I'm just going to take this. Kind of an admission that they don't have any tricksy tricks if they're not swinging in with the Sanctuary or dealing with my Viper. Fire up another Sanctuary or sack the Vampire. Well, could be a window for us. Izumi Linebreaker. Sack a Clue. Okay. Corrupted Conviction, not a bad draw. We might be able to get a third sack here. Go for a Linebreaker. That's 2 sacrifices. Come on, Scout for Survivors. Oh. Corrupted Conviction. Yeah. We'll go for that. Sacrifice this Mercenary here. Open up, leave some mana open in case we draw. Wow, just drawing so many lands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 in the top hat, like 23 is kind of statistically unlikely. But we do have 3 sacrifices. I think we swing in with both of these here, kind of force some action. I'm going to put the counters on the Mercenary. If they have removal, I'd rather they kill that. I'm not necessarily likely to live through this turn at this point. Maybe if I had drawn a second 1-drop and I could have 2 guaranteed blockers in all of this, but I think I still have to swing. They could keep me off of the lifelink by blocking and sacking the Vampire to the Fountain Port. This card's an Enduring Curiosity. But then they would have to block the Viper, which would mean that, like, with the Sanctuary, which would mean they don't get to guarantee swing with this Sanctuary. I guess they could fire up the Sanctuary now. No, because they have to sack the Vampire. Yeah. Kill off your Sanctuary, and now I'm at 5, and they can't remove my Zealot and fire up the Sanctuary. So I'm not necessarily dead here. Still stuck on blue mana, perhaps. I really didn't expect to win this game. It's been very grindy for them having been stuck on one color for so long. 2 statistical anomalies. There's a little less unlikely, probably. They're reading my cards. They're saying, how did I lose this game? I don't know, brother. It happens sometimes. That's magic, I suppose. You know, they still could be in it. We'll see. See what they have. Swing it in. Make a token. Is there a world in which they have like a sneaky extra damage here where I have to block with the Zealot? Because I'm going to go to 1 off the Obsessive Pursuit. I don't think so. They don't have blue for Kaito. Yeah, I think I just take it. Land. Notably a swamp, not a blue source. Go to 1. Another land. Okay. Sack a Clue. Infestation Sage. Well, I can trigger the lifelink again if I want to. I don't think it's that relevant. I think I'm just going to swing in with everything here. Present 3 4-power attackers, and then don't think that they can necessarily beat that. I don't know. Trigger the Viper again. They're just going to have to discard some cards. They can, like, do the block sack thing, but even if they have block sack plus removal, I don't think that'll be enough. I guess they'd have to have block plus removal, but I think they would have gone for that. Yeah, they just got kind of screwed. Kind of feel bad, but at the same time, not at all, really, to be honest. This is an admission of defeat. GG's. Bop ya. All right, game one. Grindy game. Opponent was probably pretty shocked that they did not hit a land there. Good to know we're against Dimir Tempo. I kind of feel like we're not going to change anything. Maybe the first get lost is okay. Maybe get lost is better than deadly precision. Yeah, try it like that. Try it like that. Okay, on the draw for game two, Dimir Tempo, apparently. Gonna keep this. Head to mulligan to 6. Solid hand, though. Put back the passage here. Turn 1 Inspector. We can Corrupted Conviction it away. Hopefully we get to show off possibly the power of... I suppose we lead on the Sage in this case. Blocking with a 1/1 flyer might be relevant. Next turn we get to Inspector plus Conviction. Okay. Another Sage. Well, I guess we'll go for the Sages. This will let us swing in for 1. They probably won't expect sneaky one drop flyer here. They're setting up for their Kaito play. Pass it to you. Yeah, maybe I should have foreseen this and held back this Sage attack, but... Okay, well... Corrupted Conviction here. They could counter this, but I still get my 1/1 flyer. Heartless act my insect. Okay. Fair enough. There's a Bartolome. That'll set up our Scout for Survivors quite nicely. Maybe the Zealot's a little better, though. Could help us get some fodder in the graveyard as well. Just play these and pass. I guess I can swing for 1. Just sack the Sage to the Zealot. Block the Drowner with the Inspector. They might need to go for a map here on the Siren. Guarantee that it can swing as a 2/2. Or try to make it swing as a 2/2, I suppose. I'm gonna go for it. They could counter this sacrifice with Tishana's Tidebinder. Counter me getting a 1/1. Kind of a little bit small potatoes, right? Not the end of the world. Sure, man. Tishana's Tidebinder, counter a 1/1. Flyer. And then I kind of feel like Dimir Tempo is going to have a really hard time with this Scout for Survivors. Hit another 1-drop. Yep. Okay. Kind of sweet. I mean, this is it, right? This is like the ceiling of this card, which is kind of sweet. We'll shock ourselves. Play the Rat Warlock. Scout for Survivors. Jam. I mean, it's like it's quite a bit better than what's the other card? Quite a bit better than Raise the Past, I think, in that position. Just the fact that they come in as like a lot more relevant bodies. I guess the argument for raise the pass is that we could have like sacked the inspector and then gotten a little more back as well. But okay, takes my. Yeah, I kind of didn't consider that. I won't be able to block the Siren anymore, but they might not even have Kaito, and even if they do, I'm so far ahead. Like, I can just kill the Kaito. I don't think it matters. I think we're in a pretty good spot. Duress me. Okay. Have you met my friend Bartolome? Albed Salvagers. Kind of huge with good old Bart here. Play Bart. Swing in. Pass it back to you. Probably just going to draw off the clue. Stop me. Much faster game this time. Preacher. Yeah, and then they just died too. The Salvagers. Like guaranteed. Yeah, for Survivors. That's a fun draw. Swing in with everything. Sacrifice the Inspector. They're going to take enough here. Oh, these two are going to die. You control. These will die. This is worth 2 damage if I sacrifice this. Alright, that ought to do her. GG's. GG's. Fun match 1. On to match number 2. Alright, hopping into match number 2 here on the draw. Pretty good hand. Definitely going to keep the Obsessive Pursuit with Dude's hand. Go ahead and lead on an Inspector here. Good curve out in case we draw a Viper. Inspector, Pursuit. The whole shebang. We'll put this on black. Swing for 1. Just going to get the Pursuit on the field here. I don't think, without a sacrifice outlet, we won't be able to go big with the Pursuit next turn, but we could swing with a 2-power creature at the very least. Okay, so this is like the landfall combo. Gonna be a good test here. If they have Harmonizer plus Fetch, I mean, it's not like they'll be able to kill me next turn, really. But I can leave back some Chumpers. Let's go Sage into Conviction here. Sacking the Sage. See if we hit something relevant. Play another land. Play another Sage. Swing for 2 here. We have chumps for days, but they'll eventually be able to find a source of... I mean, eventually they'll have Trample online with the Ascension here, which is going to be kind of tough. Right now, if we draw a Viper, though, we're really set up nicely with the Salvagers. Okay, there's an Escape Tunnel. They can do their, like... if they untap with the Escape Tunnel on the field and the Explorer on the field, they can... And then they also play a Mightform Harmonizer. They can get an unblockable 32-power Ice Explorer. I'm not sure if they realize that, because they elected to hold up the Fabled Passage over the Ice Till. Maybe they do know. I don't know. Well, I think I have to get the Salvagers on the field, and I think I probably kind of have to hold up blockers just to maximize my... It might not matter anyway. I guess I could swing for 1. I might as well swing for 1. They milled over a Harmonizer. If they do have a Harmonizer, I think I'm dead kind of no matter what here with the Ice Still on the field and the Ascension. I'll just scoop if they show me the Harmonizer here. Won't make him go through it. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. Pretty powerful stuff. On to game 2. Definitely want the intimidation tactics here. And instant speed removal. I'm not really messing with the Soul Guide Lantern in this matchup. They're not that graveyard dependent. They could just like wagon plus harmonizer me. I guess I'm pretty good in that scenario anyway because I have a lot of chump blocks. So maybe the first, maybe like 2 lanterns is right. What do we cut in that case? Maybe cut down on our scouts for survivors. They're not really killing our stuff too much. Maybe cut down on a couple pursuits. It's kind of like the best thing that we got going on, actually. Precision's a little slow. I think having instant speed removal is a little more important. Like removing the right thing rather than just killing their ice till. Probably go down on a couple Callous Inspectors. That should be fine. Go down on a couple Corrupted Convictions. Try it like that. I don't think I want to cut too many of my creatures necessarily. Take the play this time. Yeah, this is a great hand. I'm just gonna lead on. I think it's a little more important to lead on the Infestation Sage here. If they don't go turn 1 elf, then I get to tap out for Pursuit. Yeah, okay. So I'll go for the Pursuit here. And then next turn I can go Tactics plus Zealot. The reason I think to like curve out this way rather than turn 1 Tactics is all of our important hits are like 3 mana plus. And I need an attacker on the field to pay off the Pursuit here. Okay. Well, I can beat kind of everything going on here. Scrap Shooter on my Obsessive Pursuit's a little annoying, though, so I'm just going to take that. I guess I don't really care if they play a wagon here. I'm going to play the first Zealot. I'm going to sack 1 here. Swing in for 2. Surveil. Dodge a land. I think this is okay. I don't really care if they resolve a wagon. Without trample, it's not particularly good against me. Another intimidation tactics, okay. Well, I'm just gonna fire off 2 intimidation tactics. But before that, I'm gonna draw. In case I change my mind. Soul Guide Lantern, okay. Take a Harmonizer. I think I'm gonna take a Badgermole Cub here. I don't think I care about the Ice Till too much, ultimately. And then I can swing for 3, but 1 trigger. Yeah, I think this is okay. Maybe it would have been better to like sack the Sage. Oh, right. Duh. Yeah, whatever. It probably would have been better to sack the Sage and then swing with like a lifelinking Zealot there. Kind of a goof here. Not the end of the world. I think I'm still in a pretty good spot, ripping apart their hand like that. There's the Ice Till. The reason I didn't take the Ice Till is because I have this Soul Guide Lantern, so even if they hit something relevant, they'd have to like mill exactly Fabled Passage right here, or Escape Tunnel to start really popping off. Maybe I should have just left the Harmonizer. Well, there's the Escape Tunnel. Okay, well, they're popping off. Maybe I should have just taken the Ice Till and Cub and left the Harmonizer. Big Chocobo. Bit of a problem. Chump it for days. Swing with the wagon for another mill. Yeah, I'm gonna have to block here. Block and sack. Takes me off of material for next turn, but I can still hit my lifelink anyway. There's a Viper. Viper's not bad. It's pretty big. Play a lantern here. Guess I'm not... I don't think I can, like, give up the lantern necessarily, but I guess I kind of have to play this Viper. That puts me dead to a Harmonizer draw, because they have the, like, escape tunnel sort of combo situation. Do I play around Harmonizer? I could just, like, sacrifice a clue. I could sacrifice the Obsessive Pursuit. Nah. I'm gonna play the Viper. We didn't come here not to Viper. Did not come here not to Viper. Oop. What did they... Oh, they discarded the Hushwood Verge. I see, I see. Took me a second to realize what they had done with their with the Viper trigger there. Okay, so they kind of need to top deck a Harmonizer here. If they do, they win. Otherwise, I'm not really winning the game necessarily either. They could, like, mill into a Esper Origins and swing with a pretty big board here. What could I draw? Yeah, I think I messed up not taking this Ice Tail Explorer. Learn from my mistakes. In retrospect, you know, we're seeing how it plays out. If I had just left the Harmonizer, I'd just be able to kind of exist for a little while. I guess maybe I just leave the Badger Mole Cub? I don't know. I don't know what compelled me to take the Cub, but I think the fact that it was, like, wider than what I was doing at the time kind of made sense in my head. Novice Inspector, well, we'll be able to trigger the Obsessive Pursuit again. Let's go ahead and sack this clue to draw. Play an Inspector. Sack the clue to draw. I should Surveil first, because I'm going to sacrifice this Inspector anyway. Skip over a land. Draw. Another Zealot. Well, swing in with the Viper. Can I swing in with both of them? Kind of forces them to block with an Ice Tail, perhaps, if I do that. But then I'm dead to, like, any big creature draw. Yeah, whatever. See how it goes. Put counters on the Zealot here. Not my cleanest game, but they draw nothing but lands. I think I could close this one out. I think they're gonna have to block with the Ice Tail here. They could, like, sack the wagon, but then that takes away their ability to, like, really get me next turn. Okay, they're opting to leave their Ice Tail alive, giving up the card in hand and giving up the wagon. Going down to 2, I go up to pretty big life total. Still dead to a Harmonizer. Escape Tunnel. Trying to mill into Esper Origins here. There's the Esper Origins. Pretty good for them. They'll go back up to 4. Skipping over another Ice Till. Fabled Passage. So milling over another Harmonizer, not bad. They can't. They decide they can't swing. Infestation Sage, huh? Well, that'll give me a flyer to mess with next turn. I think what I do: play the Sage, sack the Sage. I'm gonna do this anyway, so I'm gonna do it now. So I get a Surveil trigger, Intimidation Tactics. Gonna pass on that. Play a Zealot. And then I'm going to hold up this clue. I'm going to try to go for lethal in the air next turn, basically. No attacks. If they draw the Harmonizer, I'm still dead on this board, I think. But this gives me a chance to just kind of eke out the win over everything. Unless they hit another Esper Origins. I'd love a redemption game 3, like a chance to play a little more cleanly. Okay, all right, yeah, yeah. That was not my cleanest play, but we got there. Let's go ahead. Soul Guide Lantern. I don't know. I think the Intimidation Tactics plan is pretty good. They might decide to bring in removal this time. Let's go down like 1 Viper and up 1 Scout for Survivors, just cuz. Maybe I'm supposed to cut a land there on the draw, actually. Alright, pretty good hand. No interaction, unfortunately, but we have a pretty fast Viper here, I think. Okay, there's an Intimidation Tactics. Probably our best draw. Let's go for that first, in case they are, like, on a Badgermole Cub hand and they are stuck on lands otherwise. Wow. Is this the greediest one-lander keep you've ever seen, or what? They only really get there on, like, land into double Cub, basically. Like, the first Cub is just not enough mana, even, really, for them to do anything. I'm just gonna take the Cub. That's kind of hilarious. Yeah, okay, well. We have a pretty fast Viper here with the Scout for Survivor backup. Just need to draw, like, if we draw exactly Novice Inspector, it's kind of nuts for us. Okay, we'll take it. Swing it in. Pretty greedy keep from my opponent. There's a land, and it's a slow one. I'm going to go for the Obsessive Pursuit here. Just going to sack a clue. Swing in for 4. And then next turn I can, like, sack my board, basically. Swing in with the Viper, and then just put the counter on the line breaker here. We'll want to sacrifice this Sage to get access to a flyer. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just gonna win on my opponent keeping a really terrible hand. Go for a Pursuit. Play a Soul Guide Lantern. Eat the Escape Tunnel from their graveyard. Sacrifice a million permanents. Get some guys. Trigger my Viper. And then swing in with a 12/12 lifelinker. Pretty good. I don't think they can beat that. Yep. Okay, good game. 2-0. 2-0. We'll take it. Okay. Match number 3 on the draw. It's kind of close. 1 land. On the draw, 1 land. We get to deploy pretty nicely, and if it's like an opposing creature deck, Is it limit testing if I keep this, or just stupid? I just mulligan. This is much better. We can get rid of a land here still. I'm going to lead on the Inspector here. Block Grand for a little bit. Block Grand. Maybe just put some garbage on the field. I think it's like turn 2 Pursuit is almost always correct. It lets them swing in with Grand again, but if they want to swing in with Grand, they're going to be swinging in with Grand kind of no matter what I do. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe not against this. Okay. Well, with a Viper draw, they play the Pursuit now. I untap with 3 clues next turn. And then I can go Linebreaker, Sage, sacrifice a bunch. I mean, this all is predicated on the Inspector living to be able to like pay this off next turn. Maybe I just need to put stuff on the field. Hold up blocks for Grand. Make them use their removal on my dinguses here. I think that's okay. Abandon attachments. Accumulate wisdom in the graveyard. 2 lessons. Keep them from swinging in with Grand here. Monument. What you got? Pass back to me. Another Pursuit is kind of nasty with it. Play the first one here. I guess I could just play a Viper. I don't get to swing, but it's kind of nasty, right? I guess they could bounce it. Pretty fast Viper. Feels right to me. I don't get the payoff with the Pursuit, unfortunately. They need to be able to bounce this to kill it, I think. Pretty unlikely that they accumulate enough lessons in their graveyard to combustion technique it this turn. Without swinging with Grand, I suppose, is the caveat to that. And if I get to swing with the Viper, I'm in a pretty good spot. They're pondering. Swing with Grand. See what they discard here. They discard a lesson and they can turn on the cost reduction. Maybe they just have a hand that sort of combos out. Okay. Accumulate wisdom. They're comboing. So if they want to kill my Viper, they get to kill it anyway. Another accumulate wisdom. Okay. Do they have nothing else going on? Yeah, just block Grand. Kind of seems like they hit nothing. Arena kind of gave that away. They no longer have the cost reduction, so they have a pretty full hand, but they're going to have a bit of a harder time deploying. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a backup Grand. There's an Artist Talent. They get to discard to hand size and trigger their Monument. Not the worst outcome for them. Okay, Salvagers. I think I just like playing the Salvagers here, I suppose. Swing in. Kind of makes my board tough for them to deal with, really. I probably should have played it after combat. I don't know. And we'll see. Viper means they get to trigger their monument, unfortunately. But I'm hitting them for a lot. And if my board dies, then... I mean, not that they can, like, kill my board, but, like, if they have an Iros demonstration, it's only okay here. They're pretty low, too, so, like, just putting 1-1 counters on our flyers should be enough to close out this game. Assuming they don't combo off like crazy here. They would need, like, Gran into a second monument, into... I don't know. I don't know. Making treasures. They're reading the salvagers. What could I use this turn to guarantee that I kind of win? Maybe, like, just a sack outlet? I mean, a sack outlet, like, if I untap with a sack outlet, I don't think they can beat that. Like, if I resolve a Bartolome, I can just sack my whole board, kill them with the salvagers. That seems kind of unlikely. I don't know. I'm a little scared, to be honest. They're at 4, but they've got their setup here with the Gran. Taking some time to decide. What is it with you, Wizards? Like, why do you keep putting these decks in the format where... Is it decks specifically where they have a million game actions and their turns just take forever? Because they're so indecisive, is what it truly is. You're indecisive. Kills the salvagers. Plus, they're just, like, constantly being presented with new information, to be fair. Drawing and discarding, drawing and discarding. It's like, well, that changes the flow of everything every second. That's a pursuit. Corrupted conviction. Well, we can make them have to kill the insect here, I suppose. Pretty likely that they do anyway. It'd be nice to be able to, like, double pursuit and get lifelink on 2 things. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think swinging with this mercenary is that important. I'm just going to start this off by going for a conviction on the mercenary. It could be likely that they have combustion technique plus something else. Do I just sack a clue here? Well, this is lethal in the air. And they'll have to make some discards to the Viper. Maybe I just play a Sage post-combat. Abandon attachments. See what they got. Discards a land. Snooze fest. Treasures. They're probably not into the Flood Bomb, but maybe they've wised up lately with the increasing, like, Selesnya wagon lists in the meta. They have a lot of permanents to sacrifice to the Viper trigger, so that's not really how we're going to be winning this game, probably. They kill off the flyer, fair enough. Gonna swing. I wonder if the fourth Umbral Caller Zealot is better than the third Scout for Survivors. Because I kind of feel like the games where we don't have a lot of sacrifice outlets, they give up a lot of weird stuff there. Block with the Otter. Okay. So they're counting 1 damage from Grand plus 3 from the Monument plus 1 from my Obsessive Pursuit. So if they kill off, like fully kill this Sage plus the insect behind it, maybe they win. Otherwise I'll go to 1. If they have a second Monument, then I'm just dead. There's not really a world in which they don't have more instants. More triggers for their artist talent here. God, what a I'm sorry. What a boring deck to play against. I'm a freaking hater, dude. I'm a big hater. When they just start going off and you know the writing's on the wall, right? But there's like a small chance you could win through all of it. I don't think it's busted. It's just like stop putting these decks in the format where it's like basically the eggs problem, right? Where you have to play it out, but playing it out involves like another 10 minutes of uncertainty. It's just really annoying. Bring in the dresses, bring in the lanterns. Let's go down. Maybe we can go down the corrupted convictions here. Go down a scout, go down a couple inspectors. We don't really need the deadly precisions, to be honest. Go back up the scout for survivors. Yeah, try like that. Try like that. Alright, match 3. Game 2 on the play. Decent hand, a little slow, but not gonna put it back. I like that we have the Soul Guide Lantern. And Novice Inspector is a good 1-mana creature to keep in this scenario because we can just sacrifice the clue on turn 2. I like the Temple. We have the lands to support it. Obsessive Pursuit, of course, is a good draw here. Go ahead and swing in for 1. Plan to sack this clue here. Grindy hand. Drew another land. Not the best outcome for us. Talent. Talent and pass, probably. Okay. Another land. Another land. Okay. Scout for Survivors looking bad in this hand. Just play our talent. Playing around a null. Sorry. Play our lantern playing around a null. In this spot. Gang. I mean, come on. Let's look at these lands here. We're 7 lands in the top 10. Magic. Infestation Sage. Not the worst draw. Swinging in. Play a tapped. Oh, no. I thought I had a basic on the field. Once again, just like a mistake that doesn't happen in paper. It's part of the thing that bites you in Arena sometimes. It's like, yeah, obviously in paper you just realize what you're about to do and then play a basic instead. In this case, I just like clicked the Godless Shrine and it's like now I can't put in the Abandoned Air Temple untapped. Oh, I could still win this game, obviously, but it just really hurts to make small mistakes like that. That just don't really happen in paper, you know, because it's like, oopsies, you realize right away. Oopsies. Just kidding, play this swamp. Just kidding. No worries, we're still in it. Opponent's not off to a super fast start. Looks like they don't have an artist talent. I suppose we just block here. Eventually set up this Scout for Survivors. Keep our life total decently high. There's a Grand. And just hold this. Okay, Inspector's a pretty good draw. Almost makes up for the Abandoned Air Temple blunder. Sack the clue right now. Another Soul Guide Lantern. Not that bad, actually. We get to bop the basics for free here. Hold up a couple lanterns. And then we're set up pretty nicely for this Scout plus Abandoned Air Temple kind of play out. Probably pretty likely that we just activate the Abandoned Air Temple next turn, but maybe I just send a couple creatures into the... There's an Iros demonstration. 1 damage. Do you have double Iros? Not bad here, but I do get to Scout for Survivors for pretty big value in that case. Yeah, okay. Swing in with Gran. Fair enough. Maybe they even think about just draining me here. Or bopping me, rather. Not drain. I don't know. Anytime it's life loss, I always like think drain. It's not drain. Just bop me. We're still in it, actually. Through a couple blunders, we're still in it. Discarding the Accumulate Wisdom and bop me. Makes sense to me. Scout for Survivors is like such a crazy response here, though. Another land. Just gonna play a swamp here. 2 more clues. A crazy board from nowhere. And I get to sacrifice the Soul Guide Lantern. There's another monument. I guess I'm just dead to that. I don't think I have any instant speed removal. I guess I should have considered that. Maybe I should have started sacrificing some stuff main phase. Oh, this deck, man. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. They played it pretty well, and I kind of deserve to lose that one, so we'll chalk it up. 2-1. I want some redemption. I want to play a couple more matches here. Go for the full 5 series. Match number 4 on the draw. Not a great hand. I mean, it's like close. Yeah, you got to mulligan this, I think. This is a little better. Still not great, but it's a little more keepable. The fact that other hand, like if that hand had some amount of 1-drop creatures, I mean, it's definitely keepable then, but we just had all of our payoff and none of our setup. Put back a passage. There's an Obsessive Pursuit. Pretty good draw there. Let's lead on the Inspector here. If we're going to soup up any of these creatures, rather soup up an Inspector because it has Menace. Forest Bossing, say Badgermole Cub. Okay. Solid start for our opponent. Let's get the Pursuit on the field here. We can grind this deck out. We can grind this deck out for sure. Just need things to line up here. Earthbender Ascension. So it looks like it's probably the landfall list. They're going for an extra land drop. Earthbending their Fabled Passage. Pretty cool. I think I want to get the Salvagers on the field. Kind of the best setup into... I don't think I need to attack. It's kind of the best setup into drawing like a Viper or any payoff. They're probably not going to be able to interact with it. And then... yeah, and then we just cross our fingers, I suppose. I wonder if this is just mono green even. That's kind of cool. Lightform Harmonizer. Okay. And they can get Trample and a pretty big cub, so I think I'm just dead here. Yeah. Play draw difference a little bit there, but I didn't have any interaction for them anyway, to be honest. Bring in the tactics, bring in the get losts. Go Go down a couple convictions here. Go down a scout for survivors. Let's go down all the scout for survivors. We'll leave one. I just think it's neat. I'll be honest. I'm biased. I can't objectively consider that card, I suppose. Against this list, just cut an inspector. Try it like this. Pretty likely that they're just like on the classic plan. 4 Esper Origins, 4 Ice Till Explorer, Wagons, Earthbender Ascension, etc., etc. We get to play this time. Hopefully we can do some busted stuff. I mean, this is really, really good. Let's just go for the curve out here. Turn 1 Inspector, turn 2 Pursuit. Try to see if we can hit a turn 3 Viper. Well, that should be a turn 3 Viper. Can we Viper and Intimidation Tactics too? I think we can. We'll have 3 clues, 4 clues, 5 permanents to sacrifice, so we can cast this for 1 and Intimidation Tactics. Kinda nasty with it. Another Obsessive Pursuit. Interesting. I guess let's play the Inspector and then Viper first, and then we can Intimidation Tactics after. Give them a little less information before this decision. Big Viper on the field. Swing in 6/7 lifelinker. We're doing the thing. Hit you with the tactics. Badgermal Cub, Caves. Interesting. Harmonizer. I mean, Harmonizer doesn't do a whole lot here. Fine. I guess I just take the Cub. They have double Harmonizer if they want it anyway. I don't know. They have a Harmonizer if they want it anyway. Just take the Cub. Take them off of options here. Archdruid's Charm, kind of interesting. By taking the Cub, it kind of takes them off of like chumps for the next couple turns to stall. They could plan to hit their land drop, Archdruid's Charm for a Fabled Passage to the hand, and set up for... Okay, so they drew a Cub. Thoughtseize Bug is real. Thoughtseize Bug is real. Tell your friends. Wizards, you gotta look into your stack, my friends, because it's real. I'm 100% convinced. I've seen too much evidence. Anecdotal, sure. I haven't collected the hard numbers, but it's real. It just is. I'm I'm convinced. Type in the comments. Let me know. Get in the comments. Tell Wizards, hey, yeah, Thoughtseize Bug is real. We all know. It's real in MTGO. It's real in Arena. It's crazy. I don't know what's going on there. Draw a card here. Another Viper. Interesting. Well, I still don't think they're going to be able to win this one. I can swing with the Viper alone. I don't have to swing with the Inspector here. They'll be able to block with a land. Trigger the landfall again. The Hydra becomes a 4/4. And then if they draw Fabled Passage, they get to go nuts anyway. Do they get to go nuts with the Fabled Passage if I don't attack here? So they get like, say they draw a Fabled Passage. 4 8, 16, 32. Yeah, they just need to draw Fabled Passage here. It doesn't really matter if I swing with both, I think. Oh, they have the Archer. Yeah, Badgermole Cub was such a nuts draw there, man. They have the Archer's Charm to find a Fabled Passage and just kill me. Wow. Okay. All right, match 5 now. Try to secure that sweet 3-2. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, gang. I don't know. Something in my mental has just absolutely collapsed over the course of this league. I'd love to save this 3-2 overall here. This is a pretty good hand. I don't think we need double sack outlets here. I think with less resources, I'd rather put back the Umbral Caller Zealot. Gene Pollinator. Well, we can lead on a Multiversal Passage. Probably on black makes a little more sense. Feel like I'm taking freaking crazy pills, dude. Okay. The combo deck. Airbending combo. Go for a Pursuit. See what you got. I feel like what was it like? Three Badgermole Cub decks. Is It Lessons and Dimir Tempo were all of our matchups, and we got a kind of a free win in that Dimir Tempo situation. I think I'd go for the Salvagers here, because then next turn I think I get to Obsessive Pursuit. If I draw a land, I get to like Obsessive Pursuit plus Viper, swing with a big Salvagers next turn. I think Salvagers makes a little more sense as a setup play here. They have a lot of mana. They have a lot of mana. Aang at the crossroads. See what we get here. Aang, Swift Savior. Exile their Bramble Familiar. Set up for the combo. Okay. Sage. If I play the Pursuit, that puts me at 4 clues to sack. I guess I'm just going to go Sage into Viper. Swing with a big Salvagers. Drain a lot of life. They could just like combo me out next turn, I suppose. I don't die to them having a million creatures necessarily. Because I have like reach with my... They don't block. They could just have it. I have reach with my Salvagers, you know? What a weird league. What a weird run series. I think this deck does some really powerful stuff, you know, but I can't believe... By the way, I can't believe we lost that last game against the landfall list. We had our turn 3 Viper swinging with a 6/6 and a 6/7. Sorry, not swinging with the 6/6 Viper, but swinging with a 6/7 lifelink, and then they just like, yeah, you know, turns out when you start doubling things, you just fill your deck with doublers. Eventually, like, the board doesn't matter at a certain point, you know what I mean? So they have the combo. I'm not super familiar with this list as of late. Do they have a way to like actually win on this turn? You know, they're gonna make infinite 1/1s, but do they gain infinite life at a certain point? Do they have Crater Hoof in their deck? Because they get to do this Bramble Familiar thing as much as they want. I guess they get to like... They get to start countering my stuff with Aang? They shock themselves. They're saying, I don't care. Wait. I thought they had a... Doc Orlock. Oh, they do. Why'd they shock themselves to play the Bramble Familiar? Because it was on an adventure? I'm a little confused. So they're doing their thing. I don't know. I'm gonna fast forward in the edit here, and we'll see what happens. Okay, I figured it out. They just get to bounce my board, which is probably going to be enough in combination with the Aang Swift Savior being able to like counter all of my stuff. So fair enough. Seems like a smart addition to your infinite combo deck. Bring in the intimidation tactics, of course. Bring in some instant speed removal. Let's go ahead, cut down on some corrupted convictions, and cut down on some Scout for Survivors. Keep all of our removal. We can probably go down one of our sack outlets. Maybe Vipers is just not that good with the way they're able to interact with Aang. I don't know. Into game 2. Alright. On the play for game 2. Pretty solid hand. I like that we have some interaction. A good mix of setup and payoff. Good mana. See if our opponent has a fast start. Shocks themselves, Gene Pollinator. Fine. Play a Verge. Get Bartolome on the field, I think. Start swinging in next turn. Admiral Cub. Fair enough. I think we're probably supposed to shut down the Cub. Even though, like, Deadly Precision is not enough to shut down their instant speed stuff, right? Just setting them back on mana here is going to be more important than anything. Godless Shrine. Go ahead and kill off the Cub here. Play a Zealot. Swing in with the team. They don't block my Novice Inspector with Gene. Shock themselves. Hang at the crossroads? They don't have enough mana for that, I suppose, with the 2 Gene Pollinator situation here. Cast a Bramble Familiar. Straight up. Airbender Ascension on the Bramble Familiar. Okay. Cool. Interesting that this card has gained some new life. I mean, it's seen some play in combo decks in the past. But, yeah, it's pretty busted with this airbending stuff. So they're just kind of crossing their fingers at this point, hoping they hit something relevant here. Sage. Not a bad draw. Play the Sage here. I think I'm just going to go for a Viper. Second main. Swinging with everything. Okay. Maybe I don't even go for the Viper quite yet. Problem with going for the Viper is if they hit Aang, like 3 mana Aang off of this Bramble Familiar. I guess it's fine because I just replay the Viper. Yeah, it's probably fine. The real problem is I have to give up one of my sacrifice outlets to do this, but it's probably okay. I guess we'll give up Bartolome. The Zealot is just naturally larger. Give up a Gene Pollinator rather than taking the 4 damage. Crossing their fingers, hoping they hit something good off of this fetch quest. Do they hit something good? Not really. Not really. Hit another Bramble Familiar. Ramble Familiar. Okay. Land. Kind of surprised they maybe decide not to keep that to discard to the Viper. Swing in. They're going to have to start sacrificing some non-land permanents here. Take 4. Block and block. Well, now you have to block the Zealot. Okay, well, you're just dead. Okay. Yeah, they made some interesting choices on that one. Interesting choices. All right. For all the marbles, final match. Match 5, game 3. Can we close out the 3-2 or have a shameful, disgraceful 2-3 record? Nah, you know, I think the deck has done some really powerful stuff. I just think, like, the Viper sometimes is really, really good, and a lot of the time it's just like, okay, kill it, and then they move on, you know? We'll keep this. Pretty solid hand. Shock. Go for... I guess we just go for a Sage here. Or sorry, Inspector here. Sack the clue to the Deadly Precision. Maybe kill off the elf here. I'm not sure. I guess it depends on what they have. A lot of 1-drops. There's a familiar. Are they stuck on lands? No. Intimidation Tactics is a great draw. Just gonna fire that off. Not gonna think about that too much. There's an Aang. There's a Doc Orlock. I mean, without the Aang, Doc Orlock doesn't do a whole lot, right? And they can Aang their Bramble Familiar there. Maybe we just kill off the Bramble Familiar here too. It like basically ensures that if they draw another Aang or something like that, or an Appa, it really cuts off their options in the future by exposing the familiar, you know? Okay, well, our opponent has a garbage hand, and we have a lot of little creatures to deploy here. Pass it back to him. Might just end up cycling this Intimidation Tactics. Probably won't see too much action, to be honest. Could use a Viper. Yeah, we'll play the Inspector. Sack the clue next turn, probably. The Sage. I'm like pretty close to just swinging in with the Sage to get a flyer on the field and put some pressure on, but I think I'd rather maybe keep the board back here. Yeah, crack the clue. Get a little more information. There's a Bartolome. Okay, great draw. See if our opponent draws in anything relevant. They could have like an Aang by now. I think I'm gonna with the Viper draw, I think it makes sense for me maybe to lead on this Intimidation Tactics. Crater of Behemoth. They're actually not that far from casting this. I'm just gonna take it. That's pretty funny. Let's go for a Viper. Gets our bees on the board. All right. Secured the 3-2. Secured the 3-2. Gang, I don't know why. I feel ragged as a dog after this run. I think maybe it was a combination of this being kind of a weird run with all of the losses I had this morning. But 3-2. Deck looked pretty good. We had some sweet Scout for Survivors turns. There were also some turns where it just kind of got stuck in hand and maybe would have been better as another card. We had a lot of weird, like, flooded games where, you know, we're only on 20 lands, but it kept feeling like we were just drawing way, way too many. I think the sideboard played out okay. What else is there to say? I don't know. Maybe it makes sense to like go up an Umbral Caller Zealot and down a land, because Zealot lets you kind of like filter out, into a land eventually. This is a tough list to like settle on the exact numbers of things. So if you're playing this and you've got some idea of like a list that really feels good and really works, let me know, because I'm curious on making this work. I do think Albad Salvagers is the truth. In this build specifically, with the Obsessive Pursuit over something like, Sephiroth. But maybe the first Sephiroth is pretty good too. I don't know, gang. I don't know, but that's it. That's Black White Viper. I'm not gonna leave the Viper alone, because I think it eventually will. I'll eventually figure something out. If I find a way to consistently give the Viper haste, like you can do in Modern, then maybe there's something there. But for now, signing off. Thanks for watching. I'll be posting daily standard content, so if you liked this video, why don't you come on back, watch some more of my stuff, and we'll hang out and chat about off meta standard decks. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.